Are you living your life or just reacting to it? That's the question I want you to chew on for a moment. In a world that demands you check your phone now, reply to that email instantly, and keep scrolling forever, have you noticed that the loudest voice you hear most often isn't your own? We've been sold this myth that constant input equals constant progress. But what if the secret to actually moving forward, the true engine of growth, isn't found in the noise, but in the pause? Welcome. This isn't just another self-help video. This is an invitation to turn down the volume on the world so you can finally hear the wisdom you already possess. We're talking about the power of silence and how mastering it is the ultimate form of life intelligence. The modern condition is one of perpetual distraction. Our minds are like perpetually crowded highways, and every notification, every headline, every social comparison is another truck aggressively cutting us off. We're so busy processing the external input that we leave no bandwidth for the internal operating system. This is why so many of us feel busy but utterly unfulfilled. The solution isn't to escape to a remote mountaintop, though that sounds lovely. It's to cultivate an inner sanctuary, a place where your true thoughts, your authentic desires, and your necessary course corrections can finally surface. This happens when we intentionally embrace silence. Let's explore this through 3 lenses of reflective wisdom. Our first concept is concept number 1. Silence as an editor, not an absence. People fear silence because they think it means nothing is happening. Wrong. Silence is actually the most active editing process the mind can undertake. Think of your day as a massive, unedited film reel, full of redundant takes, unnecessary scenes, and filler dialogue. When you introduce silence, even 5 minutes of just sitting without a screen or a task, you give your mind the space to delete what isn't serving you. It allows you to review the footage of your last decision, your last argument, or your last commitment, and quietly say, "Nope, cut that scene for the final version." The noise of doing overwhelms the quiet act of choosing what matters. Here is your first reflection prompt. Think about the last 24 hours. What is one thought, one worry, or one task that the noise convinced you was urgent, but which, in a moment of quiet, you realize was actually completely irrelevant? Write it down. This is the editor at work. Moving on to concept number 2, the myth of instant clarity. We often seek profound life advice from gurus, podcasts, or books, all of which are valuable, but we expect wisdom to arrive like a downloadable software update, instantly and perfectly packaged. Real, deep life intelligence doesn't download. It grows in the quiet dark, like a root system. Wisdom earned through reflection is sticky. It becomes a part of who you are because you felt it percolate through your own being. A perfect analogy for this is trying to see the bottom of a muddy river. If you throw a stone in, the water explodes into chaos, and you see nothing. But if you just sit patiently on the bank, the sediment begins to settle, and eventually the rocks at the bottom, the truth of the riverbed, become perfectly visible. Your initial reaction to a problem is often the turbulent surface mud. True clarity requires allowing the emotional and mental particles to settle. Don't rush the clarification process. The universe won't email you the answer instantly. You have to sit still until the mud settles.
Finally, let's look at concept 3, silence as boundary setting. In a world determined to fill every gap, silence is your most powerful act of self-preservation and self-respect. It's saying, "My attention is finite, and I choose where it goes." This doesn't just apply to your phone. It applies to people who drain your energy, commitments you dread, and environments that trigger anxiety. Learning to say no politely, or simply leaving a conversation to collect your thoughts, is a nonverbal declaration of your inner sovereignty. It is the mature recognition that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and that cup only refills when you stop trying to give its contents away. This brings me to my second reflection prompt. Where in your life are you sacrificing your necessary silence to maintain a connection, a reputation, or a habit that doesn't truly nourish you? What is one small, safe space you can claim this week purely for unadulterated, unproductive silence? To sum this up, we often seek monumental change when the greatest transformation starts with the smallest shift in auditory focus. The world will always be loud, but your response to that loudness is your masterpiece. As the saying goes, the greatest discovery of all time is that a human can alter their future by merely altering their attitude. And the attitude shift starts when you finally give your own thoughts a chance to speak above the din.
If this idea resonates with you, this commitment to quiet, conscious living, then you're in the right place. Join our growing community of reflective minds by hitting that subscribe button and ringing the notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Now, I want to hear from you. Take one of those reflection prompts, either the one about the irrelevant task or the one about setting boundaries, and share your initial unfiltered thought in the comments below. Let's start the conversation in the comments section with the intent to be thoughtful. Thank you for pausing with me today. Go find your quiet, and I'll see you in the next video.